This podcast may contain adult language and themes, or it might not. We're not really sure. We haven't recorded it yet.
I'm Jason.
I'm Diggs.
I make software, music, and podcasts.
I connect people, personally and professionally, and I like talking with Jason.
This is the Candy Factory 5x5 podcast.
5 conversations.
5 random topics.
5 minutes each.
When we hear this sound,
we move on to the next topic. Next.
On every episode, we invite a very special guest to join us. That's right. And on this episode, that very special guest is Sandra Jordan. Sandy, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself for our listeners who haven't heard you before?
Yeah, well, my name is Sandra Jordan, as you said, and I am a recent newcomer to the community here in Lancaster and a proud co-worker at the Candy Factory, where we are right now. I do strategic planning and communications primarily for nonprofit organizations and quite often in things related to music and the arts.
That's awesome. It's been great to get to know you over the last few years. You know, you're one of our returning guests.
I feel very honored.
Yeah, it's kind of a new thing we're doing on 5x5. It's cool.
It's a do-over.
No, it's VIP. And you mentioned the Candy Factory, the co-working space. That is the mothership. We couldn't do it without the Candy Factory. We couldn't make this show without the Candy Factory. It's a co-working space here in Lancaster. It's a place where you can come together, work with other people in a safe way. We have a couple different membership tiers. So if you're interested, go to coworkinginlancaster.com for all the details. We did recently roll out the community membership that is $100 all in. I just have to say it because I think it's such a great deal. Anytime the doors are open at the Candy Factory, you can come and work unlimited within the business hours. But the business hours have expanded. Yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays till 7 o'clock in the evening. We open 8 o'clock every day. And then Saturdays, 9 to 5.
Amazing.
So it's a lot of time. It's a lot of opportunity for only $100. You can come in and work with others in a safe way. So check it out, Co-working in Lancaster. If you're new to the program, if you haven't heard us before, shame on you. But if you didn't, the way this works is I have an iPad. His name is Frank. He's going to dish up 5 random topics. And we're going to talk about the first topic. He'll give us a little cue out. We'll move on to the next topic. That's why we call it 5x5. And Frank is just chomping at the bit for topic number 1. So if you guys are ready, feeling good, it is time for this episode, number 37 of 5x5. Here we go. Oh, and Diggs, of course. Always a pleasure to see you.
Hello.
Yeah,
wow.
Failed to even mention Diggs.
They got to know who I am by now.
Topic number 1 for today's 5x5, hometown slang.
Ooh.
Hometown slang. So you're from New York City, Diggs?
And Sandy lived there for a bit. You know what? This might be perfect. So it's not really slang. I discovered upon moving here that New Yorkers, so if we're waiting to check out at a store, we tend to say that we are online. And I didn't realize that that was a New York thing until I moved here. Because I said, I was on the phone to someone, I was like, I'm online to buy something. And they were like, huh? Are you at your computer? And I was like, no, I'm...
That is like the ultimate nerddom happening right here. I don't think I've ever heard that, but hey, I believe you.
So even in your time in New York, you didn't hear anyone say that?
If I did, I didn't make that distinction, but I had a lot on my mind. You know what it's like when you're working, you know, putting food on the table and, you know, running for the bus and running for the kids. Yeah.
Are there any terms from New York City that you remember, Sandy, that is sort of unique?
Forget about it. I have a lot of Yiddish in my vernacular. It doesn't come when I'm being asked about it, but like fatutzt.
Oh, yeah.
I say fatutzt. I have lots of Jewish friends, and they're not just from New York, but I tend to really enjoy the descriptors that I do associate those with New York in my experience.
We could do some
there.
kvetching.
Can I ask what fatutz means? Because I'm not from New York.
Fatutz means like the way my hair is, kind of like frizzy, kind of like frazzled. I'm a little fatutz today.
Yeah.
I'm fatutz today. I'm usually
fatutzt.
fatutz on 5x5. I run around like a chicken with my head cut off.
Whenever I use the word, I don't even realize people don't necessarily know what that is. So that means I'm really a New Yorker. And that is sort of maybe slang from New York. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think so. How long did you live in New York?
Nearly 20 years.
Oh, you're basically from there. But you've been here for a few years. And so when you got here, you probably heard people say a while.
Yes, I hear that. And makes no sense
Yes.
at the end of a sentence, a while.
No, for those who are from outside the area, don't know what I'm talking about. Diggs, could you give me an example of how a while is used here? I know you love it.
It'll be like, look at the menu. I'll get you waters a while.
Right.
What?
Right. And
What is that?
I'm not sure. I guess. I mean, I know what it means now because of context.
Right.
That
It has
I'm
to
going to
be
go
something
do that.
Pennsylvania Dutch, right? It has to be like, it has to have an origin.
Has
Because
to.
it doesn't make logical sense in English.
Right. And I am Pennsylvanian, not born but raised. Born in Buffalo, New York. Little known fact.
Oh.
Aha.
Yeah, but I got kind of sick of it, so I split when I was like 1. Came
As a
down to
man with a plan.
I was like, what?
It's too cold up here.
I was like, I was born in September, right? So I went through the winter, and I looked at my dad. I was
Yeah.
like, 8 months old. I'm like, Dad, let's get the hell out of here, man. This is too cold. So of course we came down to Western PA, which wasn't much better. But I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, and I'd never heard a while. But Western Pennsylvania and Eastern Pennsylvania are divided by that mountain range that kind of goes diagonal like this. I don't know why I'm making this motion for those of you who are
Because it
listening.
is. It's on a diagonal. I
Yeah,
looked at the
I'm kind of
map.
making a diagonal. But there's this mountain range that cuts through Pennsylvania, and it really is basically 2 states.
Absolutely. And which one of them, though, I want to know is Pennsylvania, because
Oh, it's definitely out west. It's definitely back home. There's no question about it.
I
so really, I'm technically not in Pennsylvania right now. So I can call up everyone who uses that term on me, that slang term,
Well,
and tell them that they're inaccurate in their description.
This is going to be open for interpretation.
Okay.
I'm sure for Diggs, coming from Brooklyn, he's just like, I don't know where it isn't Pennsylvania, except maybe Center City.
No. Actually, I just had a joking argument with a past guest of this show, Colin, about the borders of what is colloquially Central PA versus what is actually Central PA, and the fact that what's actually Central PA, I guess minus Lancaster, is pretty much what I would consider Pennsylvania.
I'm so glad we're getting this cleared up.
Yeah.
This is why I came in today.
But I feel like I need a whiteboard.
Before we run out of time, I have to tell you that being from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, we have some slang
Oh, yeah.
here too, like bubbler for drinking fountain.
What is it?
Bubbler. And
Bubbler.
we also say hey at the end of sentences. So, those Green Bay Packers, hey, they're really winning the season there, hey. That's a Wisconsin thing.
Oh, so it's hey and not like a.
It's hey. And then we also say ufta, which is Norwegian, which is like
Okay.
saying oy vey, which is Jewish. And that's also like, wow, it's kind of like being fatutz.
Oh yeah.
That is, it's insane how in this country, like if I went and spent, the summer in Wisconsin, that would blow my mind. But yet, I've lived
It
almost
would.
50 years on this planet in this country and would have never guessed, like, I had no idea, never heard of those things before.
And now you know.
I like oofta.
Well, we have to turn the page on. I couldn't really figure out a segue for this, so I'm just going to say turn the page as though it's some sort of a dictionary. Is that good? Diggs?
Go on there with your bad self, hey.
Topic number 2 is Fox News.
What was that?
Fox News.
Oh.
Fox News.
Fox
What
News.
a time
Fox
to.
News.
It's a topic? Oh, yeah.
This is our topic. Fox News is our topic. It
I
is.
thought it was never mind.
We are in the middle of election season. If you're listening back to this program or watching this program later, we are about 10 days, something like that, from the election
that.
when we're recording this program. And so this is maybe topical, but Fox News is. I find the whole thing very interesting. I think when I was thinking about this topic when I proposed it, it wasn't really about sort of Fox News now, but sort of almost the history of Fox News, because I remember when Fox News came out in the 90s, and it was really billed as this fair. You remember it was like fair and balanced. I mean, I know they still use that term, but it's just kind of a joke.
It was what? What was
kind
the
of
term?
ironic? Fair and balanced. It was like they were really pushing this whole idea.
Well, that's a term they probably ripped off from the New York Times.
Oh, okay. Was that a phrase that the New York Times had used? Fair and balanced.
Now Diggs is
wait.
digging into his photographic memory to decide because he knows the answer.
No.
I don't know.
I think fair and balanced is the Times, and Fox News might be something about balanced and something else. But
Okay.
I'm gonna Google while we.
Google while you work.
But it was a really interesting evolution of that channel because in 1996, as it says on the screen, it launched in October of 1996. And, I remember like Hannity was Hannity and Colmes, which was like they had the liberal guy, Alan Colmes, and they had Sean Hannity. So they would like kind of do the crossfire debates and things like that. It wasn't that there wasn't a right lean to a lot of the editorial shows, but But I did feel, at least at that time, and kind of through 9/11, that Fox News was, the news part of Fox News was, relatively objective. But then it just took a turn. I don't know what the hell happened. And I think all of them kind of did. Like, I think over time, it's just they've been gradually becoming more and more sort of wearing their biases on the sleeve.
Even Reuters can look biased if you read too closely, and they're not.
Right.
Depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, it's like, but now it's so exact, like this whole bubble and the whole idea of leaning left or right, and everybody living in their sort of information bubbles. It's really just kind of gotten out of control.
Yeah.
So my feeling of it is, so one, Fox News was fair and balanced, and then they dropped it in 2017, apparently. Yes, there you go. In favor of most, most trusted. And New York Times has been all the news that's fit to print for as long as I could find in Googling for, in that quick minute. But my big thing is not just about Fox News, it's about all 24-hour news. And I know I have a cousin involved in this work who might be listening to this. But my issue with all of it is there should be, like, the news part of these 24-hour cable networks should just be like what the Weather Channel used to be, where it's just, you just give us a ticker of this happened, this happened, this happened. That's it.
Like 10-10 wins or New York One.
Right. Oh, yes. Right. Let's bring out the yes. But yeah, exactly. So 10-10 wins in New York One. 10-10 wins is a radio station in New York. You give us 22 minutes, they'll give you the world. And New York, it's ingrained in you. You can't
ding,
not.
Ding,
yeah.
Ding, there's a little ticker, whatever that's called.
Yeah, you can't not get that out of your head. But
I'll still listen to it.
Mm-hmm, me too. And New York One is essentially, they're not related, but New York One is basically a cable version of 10-10 Wins. It's just straight news on a loop. Those 24-hour news networks, I wish would do that, because the issue that I have with it is all of them, MSNBC, CNN, they put up news on opinion shows. So then people go, oh, that expert said that expert said that thing. That must be the way it is. It's like, no, that is their expert opinion, but then you can always get another expert opinion that will counter that. So I wish there was some way to siphon off the opinion shows or label them properly, where it's like, this is an opinion show. Like, have that as some sort of bumper around the show as it's running, so that it's not all billed as news.
To me, the news is at 6:30 for 30 minutes. And I still watch the nightly news, when I remember that I can watch it that way. And even those are I find, like, all of the language now is so elevated. And yes, the times we're living in are heightened. I mean, the stress is heightened. The uncertainty is heightened. It is a very difficult time. But I have felt like the rhetoric has been ratcheting up in every news source, along with everything that's ratcheting up.
Yeah.
So
it really is a shame. I think that a lot of people are craving kind of what you're saying, Diggs. Like, it'd be almost, I don't even care. They can all exist, and they can all just run, infotainment all day long.
Yeah.
Just give me one channel. Just give me one source that literally is just factual, with as little bias as possible.
NPR.
Yeah.
Sorry, friends.
Love NPR, but
Time to turn the channel on topic number 2.
So these are randomized? You don't know these are coming?
No
idea.
Okay.
But I'm going to tell you what topic number 3 is. Worst job.
Oh, yeah.
Bring it, Sandy. Bring it.
Well, shoe store, sexist boss.
Okay.
Please wear a dress.
Wow. It's a crappy job.
I have others, but that was...
What was it like measuring people? Was this old school, like when you measured people's feet with a...
With a Brannock device. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what is it called?
With a what?
It's called a Brannock device, and my friend's father invented it.
Is that
Which
right?
is also another really weird
thing.
Wait,
the thing with the sliding... that was like freezing cold no matter what time of year it was.
Right.
It's a thing. It's freezing cold, yes.
Oh, I hated that.
It was made in Syracuse, I think. And yes, the company still exists. My friend's husband runs it. He married into the business. People still need those.
I call them the shoe measurer. I don't know. That's my sort of term for it.
But now you know the real term.
I do know.
That would be a bad job.
That's what I was going to ask, if you had to like get down on the knee and sort of put your foot in here and then let's.
I wanted to. I wanted to measure the feet, but I was the girl, so I ran the cash register.
The girl couldn't measure the feet.
The girl couldn't measure the feet. The men measured the feet, and they were all, of a certain kind of man. And, that's just, I was a casualty of that time.
Yeah.
With that job. I had other bosses who were also incredibly inappropriate. And then, so you asked, and I told you.
Yeah.
Well, was that a certain time period that you experienced that mostly, or is it?
Yes,
sort of
my
just-
teenage years, my formative teenage years, when I had to get a job because my mother was a single mother at that point, and I needed to learn how to be on my own, and it was a series of ridiculous kind of mall jobs, right? And
Right.
in fact, the third mall job that I had in that phase was at a Hickory Farms, where I was accused of stealing.
Oh.
And it was the manager. He pinned it on me. By then I was 18 years old.
It was the manager who was stealing?
Yeah, stealing, like pennies, the Jordan add up kind of thing. And I remember having to go for a lie detector test. And
They had that kind of money?
he was the one lying. He got caught.
Ah.
It was just like one insult after another in my young professional life. And then I went and did what I wanted, and I've never rung a cash register again.
Yeah, good for you. Diggs, how about you, man?
Sorry.
Where are you at?
No.
Did you ever measure feet? I don't know.
No, I hate that thing so much. I can't really say I've had a worse job yet. I guess like the worst one I've had might have been the first year I worked as a student worker in college.
Those are also rough.
It was bad, but I ended up turning it into a fun bit in my favor. So I was in the equipment room, and it was the Friday night. I had other shifts, but my main shift was Friday night laundry for mostly getting ready,
Nice.
getting people ready, getting practice gear, sometimes uniforms ready for Saturday games or practices. So yeah, football season was crap. Wrestling, that was the worst in my opinion. Football's bad, but wrestling's even worse.
I just got a whiff of what you're talking about.
Yeah. But so what I ended up doing I had some friends who just wanted to know what my job was, and essentially I farmed out some of my duties we would bring beverages we shouldn't legally have been drinking at that point to the equipment room with us, and it would take me to maybe 2.5 hours to get this stuff done on my own, but between the group of us, we'd have maybe up to 4 of us down there. We'd be done 1.5 hours, finish the pregame, then be able to head out to the frats. So it was
Wow.
a crap job, but it was actually ended up turning into a bit of fun.
You made it work?
Yeah.
Good for
Funny.
you. That's a good way to make lemonade out of lemons, my friend.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Good job.
What about you, Jason?
Waiting tables.
Yeah.
I was a waiter for in college at a country club in Pittsburgh for a couple summers. I didn't
And
like
you'd see
rich
people
people.
from school?
What's that?
Would you see people from your school?
Oh no, this was far away from where I went to school, but it was very, very, very wealthy, and I had a chip on my shoulder about rich people, and it was just a bad fit. And then I went to Nashville, and the only experience I really had in the workforce was pizza joints and restaurants and stuff. So I got a couple waiting gigs down there when I first went in, and it was awful. It was terrible. But
We like our jobs now.
yes, we do, and that topic has just gotten laid off because it's time for topic number 4: free solo climbing. Free solo climb. I'm not okay. So I'm going to admit that I don't know if this means I don't have to pay for it, or if there's some kind of
You don't have to pay for it?
It means you have no tools
Yeah.
and no rope.
Oh, okay.
It's the
I was
crazy. It's the crazy people. Oh,
So this is
free solo. I got it now. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure that's what that means.
It is what it means. Like that.
okay. Diggs, do you know anything about this?
Yeah, and they're crazy.
Run with it. Run with it.
I mean honestly, it's just the craziest thing that how somebody looking at a sheer face of a mountain going, I don't need rope. I just need chalk hanging off the back of me. And I mean, okay, I will get, they do a lot of prep, and they do a lot of like studying the rock and the wind and how often it rains and
Right.
blah, 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 blah. So they're not crazy in the sense that they don't know what they're getting themselves into, but I think they're crazy for doing it at all.
I can say that sometimes people do it without knowing what they're getting into, because that has happened to me.
Okay.
I climbed. I was on a river trip in Utah with my brother, and I was 19 years old, and I was from the Midwest, and we had granite. Granite. So we're in the river. The walls of the canyon are like that. It's sunset, and there are wild horses up on the cliff. And I want to go up to see, get closer to these horses. So I start kind of scrambling up. And it was like sandstone,
Oh.
So it broke, and I fell. And then it was a really bad situation for the rest of the summer, but particularly for the next 48 hours. It was particularly bad. Yeah.
Anything
That's for
broken?
another time.
Okay. Yeah.
My brother carried, we had chicken wire. I don't know why. He had prescription painkillers, which you're not allowed to bring. And they got me, to a point where they could move me. And then we had to row out of this river, which was just a thing. And it was awful. It's a story, but I'm not feeling like telling the whole thing now, because we got limits.
Not supposed to have the prescription painkillers, but what luck that was.
Yeah, because I learned that you can experience pain and not care. That's what it did for me.
There you go.
Yeah.
But in that case, it was less of I'm going to scale this mountain in some sort of like a identity of being a soul. You know what I mean, like a solar climb,
yeah.
And more like, that looks like a pretty easy, mountain to climb. Let me just climb up there and see those horses.
Yep. And 19 years old in the middle of nowhere, like sandstone. I don't know. I just didn't know.
Can I just ask
rock types?
The last question on this, because I know you said you don't want to get into it, but how high are we talking? Like, how high was the?
It would have been maybe like a 10-story thing. Because it kind of goes, how those things are out there. It's like that and then like that, right?
Right.
So I was on this part.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a grade.
And I was
steep
heading
cliff.
up into this part when it broke. So the fall was quite,
Yeah.
was down the slanted. Of course, it could have been worse.
Yeah.
But it was bad enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I will say that to sort of diverge from that subject of Sandy's broken foot, that there would be no way in hell that I would ever participate in anything like this. Like it's just not even. When these kinds of things come up, it's like I get you gave me anxiety digs just talking about it.
I mean,
So it's like a vicarious anxiety. Yeah.
Like you were like, it's people who climb mountains with no ropes or anything. Like, just saying those words gives me anxiety.
I'm with you there. I'm trying to see if I can find the what's the record height.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, I don't know. Something happened to me later in life about heights. Now, when I was a kid, when I was a kid, I was probably moderately adventurous, right? Like, I remember my grandparents' house had like a second-story patio, and my brother and I would scale the wall up to it. So you're talking about 20, 25 feet to scale the wall from this like alley. And that kind of thing, when I'm like 7, 8, 9 years old, it's no big deal. Didn't think about it, just like, of course,
Right.
You're just at that age, you just don't even, you can't sort of extrapolate the future. Like you're not quite at that place yet where, you wouldn't get eaten by tigers when you're, if you're like a hunter and gatherer, because you're not thinking there's probably a tiger around that corner and I'm not going to go there. But that's
Or on the roof.
That literally is as far as I've gotten when it comes to any kind of climbing was scaling my grandfather.
Totally fair.
Well, anyway, we just reached the summit for that topic number 4, and it's time for topic number 5, the final topic of this episode's 5 by 5, which is your phone off or on overnight?
Oh, on.
On.
Yeah, no question about it.
All right,
Right.
well, that's it.
Okay, let's wrap this thing up.
Really? That was like really?
No.
That's it.
Can I actually
How many apps do you have running? How many
Fastest
times
21
check
minutes
it?
in podcast.
Zing. Oh, no. So my thing with this is I went back in the BlackBerry days, and I feel like whenever we talk about smartphones, I end up going back to BlackBerry. But BlackBerry had like a snooze mode where it wasn't actually fully off, but you would have to do more than just, click a button to turn it back on. And the alarm would still ring for you. If it was I think you could set VIP profiles or something like that, where you could, like, if that person messaged you, you could get the message, but otherwise you got no notifications. So I just feel like we have gone backwards in terms of what we can do with our phones overnight, so that we're not tempted to, increase information.
So who's putting the fun facts under that?
That is our producer, Ann Kirby. Thank you, Ann Kirby.
Well, thank you, Ann, for that.
For those fun facts.
Really good piece of, unhelpful information, because if you think I'm changing my tablet habits, you are sadly mistaken. I tried and it is not working.
Forget about it. As they say in New York, forget about it.
Forget about it, because it's always, morning somewhere. And so if I can go to The Guardian, I can go to the BBC, and there's always something happening.
That's true.
It's bad.
I have been toying around with this idea because, on an iPhone, if somebody is in your favorites, the phone will ring.
Yep.
Not your favorite, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can make, your favorites. In contacts, you can set certain people as part of your favorites. And if someone is part of your favorites, even when your Do Not Disturb is on at night, the phone will ring if they call. So you can kind of say, to your close circle, if it's an emergency after 10 p.m., call.
Yeah.
Like, don't text me if you need a response. Call, and you can turn your notifications off, and the phone will still ring with Do Not Disturb.
Right.
I guess is the word what I was looking for. So that is an option, and I've been actually toying around with an idea that some blog somewhere, some like top 5 ways to like not wreck your life, was saying, like, you should never bring the phone, into the bedroom or at night or whatever. And one suggestion was to put it outside of the room, kind of like on like hanging on a wall, where you can charge it, and it would be within earshot of the phone ringing. Because I think that's the biggest hang up we have, right? Like, back in the old days when the phones were connected to the wall in the room, remember, the phone would ring, the whole house would ring.
Yeah.
Like,
very true.
Because you'd have a phone in the kitchen, you'd have a phone in the living room, maybe you'd have a couple of phones in bedrooms, but they were all connected, right? So you'd be outside in the yard, and the whole bloody house would shake when the phone rang.
Right.
But now it's like, it does kind of make sense. You've got this one line, this one channel, and if there's an emergency in the middle of the night, if your phone's off, your phone's off.
So then, this requires that someone actually has like an alarm clock, which I don't think is
that's true.
a big thing anymore.
Do they still make them?
I mean, I know they're
do.
made, but I don't think most,
I tried to switch over.
Did you? Okay.
Tried to quit. It was like a Nicorette kind of days, Didn't work, didn't work.
So I ended up, the new OS for iPhone now has this sleep function, where it will, and actually I've started wearing my watch overnight, which I wasn't doing before. But the sleep function will like kind of put the phone, maybe I can demonstrate it so for folks who can see, and I'll explain as I show you all. So it does this. So it says do not disturb, and it'll tell you if there's an alarm. Now the one thing is you can dismiss it if you need to. I can't do that over like in reverse, but that way if I have an alarm and whatever, and I just roll over and I just want to see the time, because my big thing is I really want to know what time it is, because I just don't get a lot of light like in these months in the morning, so it's just good for me to see like, oh, it's this time, okay, I can keep sleeping. But that sleep mode helps me a lot. I will give that as a...
Well, I know what to get each of you for Christmas. I'm going to give you my old alarm clocks.
That would be fantastic. So for anybody who's listening to this program, you would have known nothing that just happened. But for anybody who's watching it, I embarrassingly forgot to plug my computer in. So while Diggs was just explaining all that stuff that I didn't even listen to, I was over there plugging in my... That's why you suddenly saw
It's a pretty informal show here, Jason.
Oh, yeah. We just got to roll with it.
Sorry to say, friends, but this episode is over.
Oh,
Just got started.
It's time to hang up on episode 37.
and put the computer 6 feet away.
Yeah, and you know what? Here's the thing. My computer said 8%. Okay? And it gave me the little message that said, your computer is going to shut off if you don't plug it in. You know that message on the Macs? Okay? Which I probably would have just let that go because I'm kind of hedging that I'm going to make it to the end of 5x5. The only problem is that literally a minute ago, it was at 30%. And I was like, yeah, I'm doing the math.
Yeah, you were
and I'm going, I am flirting with disaster.
You tried.
Does that mean we would have had to start all over?
No.
No, he just would have dropped
Y'all
off.
would have just...
Yeah.
Y'all would have just wrapped this thing up without me.
Darn.
Well, anyway, Sandy, it's always a pleasure having you on the program.
Thanks for having me. It's a blast.
Looking even forward to having you back again.
I'll be here. Where else am I going to go?
That's it. We are part of, if you didn't know, the Candy Factory 5x5 podcast is part of the Candy Factory Collective. That is a media network that has been launched right here in the mothership, the Candy Factory Co-working Campus. Visit candyfactorycollective.com. We have at least a half a dozen shows running right now. At least. And another half dozen that are going to be launching over the next several weeks. So it's a great, wide variety of topics and different things that we cover, our podcasts and live streams happening almost every day of the week. I'm just going to put a lot of those little those little almost, we're sort of at.
Kind of this. And
just so I don't say something.
Almost on a schedule.
They're launching a while.
So check it out, and don't forget that right now, twice a month, we are providing a gift to the internet called 5x5. So be sure to tune in next time, and we will see you again, friends, on 5x5. The Candy Factory 5x5 podcast
is a proud member of the Candy Factory Collective. 5x5 video can be found on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn.
Subscribe to the audio version wherever you get your podcasts.
The Candy Factory 5x5 podcast is recorded at the studios of the Candy Factory,
a co-working campus in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
The show is produced and hosted by Jason Mundock,
along with co-host Robert Diggs.
Editing and additional production by Anna Tran.
The opinions and views expressed on this podcast
are solely those of the expressor.
The Candy Factory is not in any way responsible if anyone said something stupid.
Our theme music was composed
and recorded by a really cool guy.
A really cool guy
named John Chin.
Relevant links and show notes
can be found on the show post
at our website, candyfactorycollective.com.
Maybe that's it.
Is that it? Okay.
Candy Factory
Collective.